If you enjoy the content on this channel, please like and subscribe. Heat is a 1995 American crime film written and directed by Michael Mann. It features an ensemble cast led by Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, with Tom Sizemore, Jon Voight and Val Kilmer in supporting roles. The film follows the conflict between an LAPD detective played by Pacino and a career thief played by De Niro, while also depicting its effect on their professional relationships and personal lives. Heat was released by Warner Bros. Pictures on December 15, 1995 to critical and commercial success. It grossed $187 million on a $60 million budget, while receiving positive reviews for Mann's direction and the performances of Pacino and De Niro. The film is regarded as one of the most influential films of its genre and has inspired several other works. Now, Heat is based on a true story of the real Neil McCauley, a calculating criminal and ex-Alcatraz inmate who was tracked down by Detective Chuck Adamson in 1964. In 1961, McCauley was transferred from Alcatraz to McNeil, as mentioned in the film. He was released in 1962 and immediately began planning new crimes. Michael Parley and William Pinkerton used bolt cutters and drills to rob a manufacturing company of diamond drill bits, which were recreated in the film. Pacino's character is largely based on Detective Chuck Adamson, who began keeping tabs on McCauley's crew, knowing that he had begun committing crimes again. The two even met for coffee once, as portrayed in the film. Their dialogue in the script was based on the conversation that McCauley and Adamson actually had. The next time the two met, guns were drawn, which is also mirrored in the movie. On March 25, 1964, McCauley and members of his regular crew followed an armored car that delivered money to the National Tea grocery store at 4720 S. Cicero Avenue, Chicago. Once the drop was made, three of the robbers entered the store. They threatened the clerks and stole money bags worth $13,000, valued at $129,000 today, before they sped off in a rainstorm amid police gunfire. McCauley's crew were unaware that Adamson and 8 other detectives had blocked off all potential exits. The getaway car turned down an alley, and the robbers saw the blockade and realized they were trapped. All four exited the vehicle and began firing. Russell Braden and Michael Parley were slain in the alley, while Nicholas Polesti, on whom the character of Chris Shirless, who Val Kilmer plays in the film, shot his way out and escaped. McCauley was shot to death on the lawn of a nearby home. He was 50 years old and the prime suspect in several burglaries. Polesti was caught days later and sent to prison. Polesti was still alive in 2011. Adamson went on to a successful career as a television and film producer, and he died in 2008 at the age of 71. Mann's 2009 film Public Enemies is dedicated to Adamson's memory. In 1979, Mann wrote a 108-page draft of Heat. He rewrote it after making Thief in 1981, hoping to find a director to make it and mentioning it publicly in a promotional interview for his 1983 film The Keep. In the late 1980s, he offered the film to his friend, director Walter Hill, who turned him down. Following the success of Miami Vice and Crime Story, Mann was to produce a new crime television show for NBC. He turned the script that would become Heat into a 90-minute pilot for a television series featuring the Los Angeles Police Department Robbery Homicide Division, featuring Scott Plank in the role of Hannah and Alan McMartha playing the character of Neil McCauley, renamed Patrick McLaren. The pilot was shot in only 19 days, atypical for Mann. The script was abridged down to almost a third of its original length, omitting many of the subplots that made it into Heat. The network was unhappy with Plank as the lead actor and asked Mann to recast Hannah's role. Mann declined and the show was cancelled, and the pilot aired on August 27, 1989 as a television film entitled LA Takedown, which was later released on VHS and DVD in Europe. In 1994, Mann abandoned his earlier plan to shoot a biopic of James Dean in favour of directing Heat. The film was marketed as the first on-screen appearance of Al Pacino and Robert De Niro together in the same scene. Both actors had previously starred in The Godfather Part 2, but owing to the film's double-story structure, they were never seen in the same scene. Pacino and De Niro were Mann's first choices for the role of Hannah and McCauley, respectively, and they both immediately agreed to the film. Mann assigned Janice Polly, a former collaborator on The Last of the Mohicans, as the film's location manager. The most challenging shooting location proved to be Los Angeles International Airport, with the film crew almost missing out due to a threat to the airport by the Unabomber. On DVD commentary, Mann noted it would be impossible to film the airport climax in the same way following the events of 9/11. De Niro was the first cast member to receive the film script, showing it to Pacino, who also wanted to be part of the film. De Niro believed that Heat was a very good story and had a particular feel to it, a reality and authenticity. In 2016, Pacino revealed that he viewed his character as having been under the influence of cocaine throughout the whole film. Mann took Kilmer, Sizemore and De Niro to Folsom State Prison to interview actual career criminals to prepare for their roles. While researching for her role, Ashley Judd met former prostitutes who became housewives. Keanu Reeves was also offered the role of Chris Shirless, but he turned it down in favor of playing Hamlet, in the Manitoba Theatre Centre. As a result, Val Kilmer was given the role. Both Al Pacino and Robert De Niro prepared extensively for their roles. They spent time with real detectives and criminals to understand their characters in depth. The diner scene between Pacino and De Niro was shot with minimal rehearsals to maintain the spontaneity and intensity of their interaction. Mann used multiple cameras to capture the scene from different angles, focusing on close-ups and to highlight the tension and subtleties of each actor's performance. French gangster Renaudin Fayad told Mann at the film festival, "You were my technical advisor." The media described later robberies as resembling scenes from Heat, including armored car robberies in South Africa, Colombia, Denmark, and Norway, and the 1997 North Hollywood shootout, in which Larry Phillips Jr. and Emil Mastroianni robbed the North Hollywood branch of the Bank of America, and similarly to the film, were confronted by the LAPD as they left the bank. A copy of Heat was found in the VCR at Phillips' residence. The shootout is considered one of the longest and bloodiest events of its type in American police history. Both robbers were killed, and 11 police officers and 7 civilians were injured during the shootout. Heat was widely referenced during the coverage of the shootout. For his 2008 film The Dark Knight, director Christopher Nolan drew inspiration in his portrayal of Gotham City from Heat in order to tell a very large city story, or a story of a city, he would say. In 2016, a year after the 20th anniversary of Heat, Nolan moderated a Q&A session with Michael Mann and the cast and crew at the Samuel Goldwyn Theatre. Heat was one of the inspirations behind the highly influential 2001 video game Grand Theft Auto 3, as well as the 2008 sequel Grand Theft Auto 4, notably the mission 3-Leaf Clover, which was inspired by the climactic bank robbery and police shootout, and the 2013 sequel Grand Theft Auto 5, notably the mission Blitzplay, where the crew blocks and then knocks over an armored car in order to rob it. Director Mia Hansen-Løve has said she is obsessed with Heat and said the themes of Heat actually are themes of my films, except in very different ways and in a different world. On July 5th, 2022, Mann reaffirmed his plans to make a follow-up to the original film, while stating that the principal cast from the first installment may have to be recast. In April 2023, it was reported that a sequel was in development, with Adam Driver in talks to play a young Macaulay. Now, calling Heat an absolute classic only begins to describe Michael Mann's 1995 magnum opus. Heat is a gripping crime thriller that boasts outstanding performances from all of its cast, including the likes of Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Val Kilmer. The acting is absolutely superb, with each actor delivering nuanced and captivating portrayals of their characters. The tension between De Niro's calculating professional thief and Pacino's determined detective is palpable, making their inevitable showdown an absolute masterclass in suspense. Of course, the action sequences are absolutely out of this world, and the massive shootout in downtown LA is absolutely unforgettable. But for me, the film's crowning jewel is the iconic coffee shop scene where De Niro and Pacino share an electrifying moment of mutual respect and understanding. It's a scene that has become etched in cinematic history, exemplifying the film's thoughtful and intelligent approach to the crime genre. And seeing these two heavyweight actors at their absolute finest is just, well, completely and utterly memorable. The dialogue is so poetic, the characters layered and nuanced, and this is so much more than just an action thriller film. Rather, it's a deep psychological look of two men on the opposite side of the law. Mann's direction is absolutely taut, and with its clever writing and phenomenal performances, Heat is a must-see for fans of crime thrillers, or rather, just good, well-made films. It's one of those films that just never seems to date, and will leave you on the edge of your seat as you invest in the characters and their high-stakes game of cat and mouse. Each character is so well crafted and constructed, with some excellent performances here from Ashley Judd, even a young Natalie Portman, Jon Voight, and of course Val Kilmer. But in many ways, it's seeing Pacino and De Niro finally face off that really makes the film special. With this brilliant direction, fantastic writing, and phenomenal performances from all the cast, Heat gets a 9 out of 10.